Way better.
Why not?
Because we're live already. Hello.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Welcome to Seeker Aspirant Victim. I'm Asher Smith.
Asher told me not to focus on the music today, but just a little bit.
Jason Smith.
This is Jason Smith here at you live in Utah, July 17th.
We're like we missed 2 or 3 weeks or something, and then now we're starting on a Wednesday when every other episode has been on a Thursday. So but that's where we're at. I wanted to do an episode. So last time we ended with Kill the Buddha. So we're starting with the poem One Truth, and then we'll start on the next chapter, which is the ultimate truth. So, yeah.
You read it last time.
Yeah, I read it. Wow.
In all 10 directions of the universe, there is only one truth. When we see clearly, the great teachings are the same. What can ever be lost? What can be attained? If we attain something, it was there from the beginning of time. If we lose something, it is hiding somewhere near us. Look, this ball in my pocket. Can you see how priceless it is? Ryokan, R-Y-O-K-A-N. Not sure how you pronounce that. I've read this book over 10 times. I don't remember this fucking chapter at all. No? So, new thing. I wanted to tell you something here, Asher. So, there's this guy I heard about called Nisargadatta Maharaj. Nisargadatta Maharaj. I heard about him from David Data. He mentioned him. And so I went and listened to a little bit of his writings. I'm not going to talk a little bit too much about it, but everything he says is just from the enlightened perspective. Like, find what it is. I've got one line up. Find what it is that you have never lost. And everyone's just losing their fucking mind over it. And I'm like, yeah, that's just consciousness. But he doesn't tell you. He just says that. Find that which can never be lost. And if you unravel that, he says, if you just work on that for the rest of your life, you'll find something. And Jed's going, oh yeah, that's just fucking consciousness. Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to bring that up. Okay. The ultimate truth. Let's power on. I was dreaming that I was a butterfly fluttering happily. Suddenly I awoke. Now I wonder who I am. A man who dreamed he was a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming it is a man. Huang Zhu. And the Wang is C-H-U-A-N-G-T-Z-U. Chuang or Wang, I don't know.
I wouldn't have known to say it like that.
Yeah. So I think that ultimately introducing a cool idea, are you dreaming your life? Are you being dreamed?
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Relevant.
It's irrelevant poem.
Winter hasn't been particularly harsh this year, a bit cold early on and a little lacking in drama blizzard-wise, but not bad compared to some. February, March, and April can be gray and depressing, and nerves can get a bit frazzled, but we were spared most of that this time around. We're now at the beginning of what's shaping up to be a wet spring. Wet or dry, spring is always very welcome here. It's rejuvenating to see color burst onto the scene after such a long absence. Suddenly, after months of seemingly interminable browns and grays, it happens as if from the wave of a wand. Colors burst from the ground and the trees in the sky as the whole thing just wakes up frisky. You only get a nice day every week or two in early April, so no one misses an opportunity to get out there and start prepping the gardens for the new season. I'm an old soul, if you care to look at things that way, and I feel like I'm supposed to be out there puttering around in a cutting garden or tending grapes and communing deeply with nature. But I'm not really coded for that. Sometimes I'll mow the grass if I can find the tractor, a full gas can, and a bit of motivation all at the same time. But as you might guess, those 3 planets don't line up too often. I'm not totally inert, mind you. I go for long walks and bike rides every chance I get. I usually walk alone, but when I go bicycling, I'll sometimes invite someone to come along. but not today. I stow my mountain bike securely in the back of the pickup and head into the nearby town where I can enjoy a 15 or 20-mile ride through neighborhoods and nature trails and around the heart of the small downtown area. I drive to the park at the edge of town and prepare the bike for riding. As I'm getting ready, a serious bicyclist, complete with helmet, gloves, bike shorts, and those shoes that clip to the pedals, pulls up and strikes up a conversation. She's a pretty blonde, petite, almost frail, probably not even 18 yet. "You're Jed, aren't you?" she asks. My ride is off to a bad start. This is why I don't come into town much. I seem to have developed a low-level fame, just enough to cause occasional discomfort, like now. I admit to being Jed. "Cool, I recognize you. My name's Jolene. I've been out to the Jed Zone a few times. I've seen you there."
I did not get until the last time I read this the reference to the Dead Zone. Like, that's why. Like, I just thought it was a weird name. And then I was like, oh, because the Jed Talks thing. Continue.
Jolene is definitely one of the better characters. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. I smile. She's pleasant. But being recognized annoys me more in the theory than in practice, I guess. The Jed Zone thing makes me laugh. I've heard it before. There's some buzz in town about the house, and I'm sure there are some rumors I'd rather not know about. Of course, they need something to call the place. Jed Zone is cute. I remember seeing you, I say, but we've never spoken, have we? I'm being chatty. I do remember seeing her out at the house now that I picture her without the helmet, but I don't have to ask if we've spoken. I know we haven't. No, she says, laughing. I'm, just a kid, really. I don't think I would have anything to say that would interest you. I have my bike set up with water bottles and a little bike bag with a copy of Ramamurti S. Mishra's book, Fundamentals of Yoga, tucked away in case I find a shady tree to sprawl out under. I don't get on my bike just yet. What were you doing out at the house, I ask. I can't bring myself to call it the Jed Zone. Did you come out with friends? Yeah, she says. She starts rattling off the names of some people, only one of which I recognize. She explains that they came out a few times the previous summer and fall to do some work on the gardens and to strip and paint one of the outbuildings, and then for a bonfire one night as well. Well, that taps me out for the small talk, I tell her. Would you like to ride together for a while? She would. I make the usual lame excuses an almost 40-year-old guy would say before launching into a physically demanding activity with a well-equipped and clearly athletic team. We take off together and set a comfortable pace for a lap around the park before venturing into town and beyond. I am more open to company on bike rides than on walks because biking is less conducive to conversation, especially when you're trying to maintain 12 to 15 miles an hour on wooded trails or when you're riding in traffic without strict observance of the rules of the road. It's a nice day and the ride is very pleasant. I can hold my own with Jolene without straining too much, or maybe she's taking it easy on me. We dart through some subdivisions with smooth roads and then into some paved trails that take us out of town for several hilly miles, letting us build up to a fun speed before ducking into an entrance to a forest preserve. In the preserve, we stay mainly on paved roads because Jolene's bike isn't built for rough terrain. Eventually, we turn and head up a steep hill that I can only climb up halfway before dismounting and pushing my bike. She continues riding, but in a back and forth pattern that keeps her close to me. Show off, I grumble. She laughs. At the top of the hill, I step up onto one pedal and coast along to an unpeopled picnic area overlooking a small lake. I pull out a water bottle and drink while I get my wind back. I think I'm going to sit around here for a few minutes and read, I tell her, assuming she'll take that as her cue to move on, half hoping that she won't. Can I hang around with you some more, she asks. I have a book too. I won't pester you. I've never been around a real-life mystic before. I chuckle at that. Yes, you can hang around if you like, but I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you on the mystic thing. I'm not a very mystical guy. She has no response to that. Instead, she surprises me by snatching my book away and tossing me hers. I guess pretty young girls can be impertinent and flirty like that, but it's been a while since I've been on the receiving end of it. Out at the house, everyone tends to be a little reverential, which can get tedious. The book she sticks me with is one of those little collections of Zen aphorisms compiled by an editor who probably got stuck with the project during a lull in the Cox of Borneo publishing cycle. Hard to blame them, really. If I had a publishing house, I'd pound out little Zen books as fast as the editors could rustle up profound-sounding quips by anyone with an Oriental name or title. As long as the cover design bespeaks elegant simplicity and everything inside is unintelligible, you'll have a surefire hit. It could be worse than a little Zen book, of course, even a bad one. I don't know what the typical teenage girls read, but I'm grateful that this one reads Zen instead. She has settled on the grass near the lake, and I join her. I flip through her book enough to confirm that it's a piece of crap. When you boil water for rice, remember that the water is your own life. And having nothing better to do, begin to read. Wow, she whispers to herself after a few minutes. I look up to see if she wants to share whatever she has caught her attention, although I already know what it is. The page is dog-eared. The spine flops open to it, and the passage is framed in faded yellow highlighter. She reads aloud the clearly marked passage ascribed to Buddha. I know it well, but it's pleasant to hear it read by someone for whom it's new. I will obtain the ultimate truth and ultimate reality, she reads slowly, thoughtfully. That is the ultimate aim of my life in this world. Whether my body may remain with me or go to pieces, my bones and flesh may go into complete annihilation or remain with me, I shall obtain the true form of the universe. Through innumerable incarnations, good results, I have obtained a human body. I will not lose this golden opportunity and will certainly obtain samadhi and the real form of consciousness. Calamity may come or go, mountains may break upon my head, but I will not leave my promise to obtain nirvana. She sets the book down and just stares off beyond the lake.
I just want to say, just a small synchronicity is that today at work, that quote was in my head, I will not waste this golden opportunity. I was thinking about it and I was thinking, man, I don't know where that is in the books. And I would fucking just read it.
Wow.
Just cool.
So you know what's kind of cool about this quote is that it exposes you, right? And it fits in with what Jed talks about. Hi, Jed. How you doing? I'm glad you're watching. Purity of intent, right? See, I couldn't say that. I'd be lying.
Yeah.
I could
never
feel
thought
that.
of it.
I've gotten honest enough to say I'm not.
It's interesting.
I could want it, but I might want it, but I don't have that intent at all.
Right.
Like that's a serious motherfucker. Like you just go, oh.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of his point, I think.
Yeah. There's a practice. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I may have taught you this last weekend, but it's called the walk of no distraction. And old teacher of mine named James Bay, he's dead, gave it to me. And you go outside and you set your eye on something. For me, it's usually in my mailbox or a stop sign. And you walk towards it in a straight line. And you decide once you start that you're going towards it. And you're going to go all the way to it. And you kind of set it up like if a stranger comes up in a car or something and they knock their horn, that you're, fuck you, you're go to the thing. And I'm not.
Sorry.
As I started to do this practice, it's like a masculine focus practice. I started to feel like God. Back then, I was still a little religious about 10 years ago. So I would go God and Satan, like could come up and rise. And I would always get bold and get ballsy and go, even God can't stop me. Like, fuck you. So I tell God to fuck off and I tell Satan to fuck off. You will not stop me. Like if you strike me dead, I will reach that fucking post box, right? Which is ballsy for me because I used to be really scared of God. really scared. Like I would pretty much think my life would go to shit if I ever did that. And so I would just get there. So, mountains may break upon my head. I will not leave my promise to obtain it. So I know a little bit of it, right? This little 2-minute practice, this little 2-minute pussy practice, right? Of heading towards the thing. But it's powerful because you're like, for me, I just start seeing God and I go, kill me. I will not stop. I will reach that thing and touch it.
That quote is important because, it's a decisive statement. It's a statement of decision, which is probably, if it's got authentic energy behind it, probably one of the most powerful things you can do.
You know what else it feels to me? It feels like it's not someone bullshitting themselves. Like they're going, oh, I'm just going to do this. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Like it's not like when I do my walk of no distraction, I'm like, fuck you, God, try to stop me. That's just, I'm like Buddha's just going, get the fuck out of the way, Satan. Get the fuck out of the way, God. I mean, this is happening. If I die, I come back. I'm relaxed. Like it's a relaxed fucking decision.
Certainly.
Feels it to me.
It just doesn't feel like it has a lot of interference.
Yeah, it's clear. I too relax into a quiet reverie. That's a very nostalgic passage for me. It's the reason I chose that book to bring. The writing of my book is making me take a look back into my own journey of awakening, in which that particular statement of purpose played an important role. I resonated with it when I first read it all those years ago and made a point of rereading it often. If I wanted to pass it on to a student today, I'd probably trim it back a bit, but I'd leave the intensity of the commitment intact. The intensity of the commitment. The passage figured largely in my efforts to define and state my intent way back when, and it didn't hurt to have a heavyweight in the Enlightenment game to identify with either. Mountains may break upon my head, she whispers to herself. After a few minutes, she picks the book up and thumbs through it. Do you do yoga, she asks. No, basically that book is a souvenir from an earlier time in my life. I went through a lot of books back then, but I held onto that one because of the part you just read. As you can see, it's a pretty moldy and tattered book. It spent a lot of time in pockets. She smiles appreciatively. You don't like my book though, do you? The conversation turns. This is what happens. Is she asking me a question or just shooting the breeze with Mystic Jed? I don't particularly want to slide into the teacher groove unless that's what she's asking me to do. I'm never comfortable going there without a pretty clear signal. I'm afraid I'll come off like one of those people who you ask, how you doing? And they spend the next hour actually telling you. Just not my kind of thing, I say, skirting. You're not into Zen? Hoo boy. I lay back with my hands behind my head and mark the passage of a cloud that looks like Marilyn Monroe when the air vent blows up her skirts. Or maybe it's a Rorschach cloud and my interpretation is warning me about dallying in the grass with pretty young females. Really, she says, I'm interested. Well, that's all it takes to get me rolling, but I'm still reserved. There are two Zens, I say. One Zen sells books and miniature sand gardens and calligraphy sets and little Buddha statues. The other Zen is about enlightenment. My book is the bad one, huh? She asks. I laugh. Yeah, it's the bad one. I just started learning about Zen a few months ago, she explains. It seems really cool. I've read a bunch of books about it and went to a meeting where a Japanese man talked about it. Do you think all the books I read were like this one? Depends what you got from them. Zen has a very alluring patina to it. People find it very attractive to read about Zen and maybe practice Zazen meditation. Have you bought all the special pillows yet? She has. What else? The little sand garden, she admits with a self-conscious smile. A statue of Hote, the laughing Buddha. Yeah, I like that one too, I say. So that's nice. You enjoy it. You like reading about it. And you can accessorize. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not really Zen, is what you're saying. No, it's not really Zen. It's more like Zen's pretty cousin. Real Zen isn't pretty, and you don't need any books for it. That's the long and the short of it. I didn't want to come down on Jolene's new hobby too harshly, but I have a real love-hate relationship with Zen. Rather, I love Zen and hate new Zen. Real Zen is about the hot and narrow pursuit of enlightenment, the shortest distance between asleep and awake. No rules, no ceremonies, no teachings, just the muddy, bloody battle of waking up. New Zen, the Zen that drives a publishing and merchandising industry, is all about being asleep and staying asleep. Of course, by saying this, I'm risking the wrath of all those sunshine enthusiasts who believe that Zen is something you read about and practice and eventually master, as if Zen was a hobby or a religion or a social activity, as if Zen was something that could be done in addition to anything else, as if Zen was about being mindful or mindless or present or silent. But if they're truly interested in waking up, then those miffed Zen buffs are exactly the people who should be grateful for this wake-up call, because they're the ones who wanted to make a journey and were duped into sitting down and going nowhere by Zen's pretty cousin. The decisive test is always the same. How many enlightened? No ifs, ands, or buts. No other objective or benefit is of the slightest interest. Where is the steady outflow of awakened beings? Ugly Zen has them, and pretty Zen doesn't, period. So it's like Zen's evil twin, she says. I laugh at that. Yeah, the evil twin bonked the good twin on the head and banished him to a distant island, while the evil twin sold out for fame and fortune and took over the world. We idly play with that scenario for a few minutes, stretching it further and further, just enjoying the ease of the moment and the warmth of the sun. Everybody knows you're a mystic, Jolene says, shifting gears on me. Why do you say you're not? I let out a groan as I sit up and wrap my arms around my knees. Okay, I'll answer you if you tell me what you like about Zen. Okay, she says brightly. Well, when Mr. Yamamata was here, he spoke. I interrupt. Mr. Yamamata or Yamamata Roshi? Yeah, Yamamata Roshi. He talked about one-pointedness and life in a Zen monastery and all sorts of things that sounded really interesting. He told a lot of great stories about people who would do Zen and then just out of the blue, bam, they'd be enlightened. Maybe someone would say just exactly the right thing at just the right time and bam, yeah, pretty cool, huh? It was. She's up on her knees now, excited. He talked about the history of Zen and all that. And he showed us a video about his monastery in North Carolina, and it all just seemed, I don't know, really cool. So you started reading about it and you did some online shopping. I bought a book from the people who sponsored his visit. And yeah, I went online and picked up the pillows and some other books. The sand garden I got at a store in Iowa City, and some used books about Zen and Buddhism too. Did he say what enlightenment was? I asked. She thinks about this for a minute. He talked about samadhi, or was it satori? You think I'm silly, don't you? I laugh. No, I like Zen too. I liked it long before I understood it, kind of the same way you do now. Your turn, she says. I remember our deal. Okay, but you may not find it very interesting. I say I'm not a mystic because I'm not, or maybe just a minor one. It's actually a pretty confusing issue. But what I am is different from being a mystic. What are you? I'm awake, enlightened. And that's not the same as being a mystic? No. They sound like the same thing, but once you actually get into it, there's a big difference. Which is better, being enlightened, right? Oh yeah, definitely. Mystics suck. Enlightenment guys rule. She laughs and pushes me. I laugh too. No, really, she says. What's the difference? No, really, I mimic her. It's not that interesting. She settles down and meets my gaze levelly. Can I say something? Please? I don't know how I got so lucky that a few months after I start, getting interested in Zen and spirituality and everything, that I wind up spending an afternoon with, she falters a bit, It's like God or the universe or my higher self or whatever is saying that I'm doing something really good. It's saying, here you want to know, so here's the guy. Here's your chance. So I'm sitting here with you, and you're very nice and everything, but you're also probably this is weird. Seriously, you're what everybody? She is trembling and on the edge of tears. You're really, truly enlightened, aren't you? No messing around. I mean, I know you are. You're really it, aren't you? I am rarely taken aback. I consider her carefully before responding. Yes, Jolene, I say. I'm really it. She's nodding her head, absorbing, processing. Yeah. See what I mean? That's what I mean. I mean, what are the odds? I watch her for a moment, admiring the depth of sincerity in her eyes. Okay, I say, I understand. So the thing is, I know I'm young and I don't get it, and you're being really cool with me, but I do want to know. I am interested. I don't want to be just another. It's like the Buddha said, I will not lose this golden opportunity. She falls silent, her lower jaw quivering and her eyes moist. And so we sat there for the next several hours while I solemnly answered her questions about the difference between enlightenment and the many varieties and degrees of mysticism, about the difference between the real Zen and the Zen that sells books, about Hinduism and meditation and Christianity and Native Americans and the American transcendentalists, about whether Brad Pitt could possibly be any greater, and all sorts of lofty things. But mostly we talked about Plato's cinema.
It's a good chapter.
That's a good chapter. What's your biggest takeaway from that chapter?
Maybe some of the Zen. No, definitely the poem.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway is the golden opportunities. I'm big on opportunities. I jump on them if I can, and I feel scared and terrified when I don't. Golden opportunities when magic happens. I know that's maybe a mystical thing, but yeah, this Jolene stuff's pretty cool. There's more coming.
Yeah.
If you wanted to know. And I love his writing style, and, the characters and just.
He does it really well.
Yeah. So thinking for yourself, not taking Jed, hi Jed, just without a grain of salt. One of the things he's saying is that I think he's saying in another layer that there's two sides to everything, right? There's a commercial side and there's not. And, take him. I know some people say he was arrogant and he's full shit. It was like, I shrug my shoulders. I just take that as an invitation to look deeper at things. Sand garden Zen, and then is there a real Zen underneath it? And it's kind of like that audio I sent you. Like it's good to step into Zen. I think that's the first step, right? If you're if you're claustrophobic little scared person and you step into the sand garden Zen, this is my take on it. Then that's a great step. The only thing invitation that I would say to you is that there is another step. There's another step to go. And Jed is saying, yeah. So you don't have to believe him. You don't have to think he's arrogant. You have to go bullshit on that. You can just go, and find out for yourself. And you can do that with everything in life. And he talks about commitment, and you can start to think about that and what that means in your life when you've really decided about something.
Making a decision.
Yeah, the choices, and then the choices for me that are already made, that come into alignment.
Feel good.
I feel good. Rock on. Usually we do these on Thursday nights. We will not be doing it tomorrow night. But we're back on track. We should see you next Thursday, though we have considered
Maybe moving to Wednesdays.
yeah, but we don't have to tell them that. Okay, love you all. And I mean that in a sense of oneness.